Good afternoon and welcome to our extended disc webinar. Today's 15-minute webinar is on Sales 18 assessment. And my name is Christina. I'm training director here at Extended Disc, and joining me today is Marku Kaupinen, president of Extended Disc.
Hi, Christina. Happy 2020.
Happy 2020. Just my dad called me to say that, just a tip, when you put the date, the year, always put 2020. Don't put 20 like we put 19, because then people can falsify your dates. Tip of the day.
Let me think about that.
All right. I've totally okay. Sorry, that was tangent. So let's talk about the Sales 18 report. It's definitely, I would say, one of our newest and most popular. I mean, I hear such great feedback about this report and about how simple it is to use. So I just wanted Marku to come and kind of just share it again. For those of you who haven't heard it before, how do we kind of explain it? How do we understand it better?
Yeah, I think what you just said about it being so easy to use, I think that has been probably the main reason it became so popular so quickly. Although it's based on the DISC model and on the same questionnaire, the users don't actually have to know anything about DISC, because we look at these 18 sales areas that are very critical to salesperson success. And then it very clearly, as we see in a moment, very clearly identifies how the person is hardwired for sales behaviors.
And, with the Sales 18 report, it came out around about the same time that we had another report come out called the SCA, or the Sales Competence Assessment. So could you just talk a little bit about the difference between the two of them?
Yeah, like I said, Sales 18 is based on the DISC questionnaire and DISC model. However, we made it very simple for our clients to use, so they don't have to know about DISC styles. They don't need to know anything about the profiles, but to be able to, again, look at those hardwired behaviors and see where the person is right now in terms of their hardwired behaviors. Sales competency assessment is not based on DISC. It's a completely different questionnaire. It takes about 25 minutes to complete, and it actually identifies where the person is with the same 18 competencies, but where are they actually in terms of their competency level. So it identifies where they are at that point. So when people take it over time, we can identify what areas they have developed and what areas may need to be worked on a little bit more. The idea is that the tools can be used independently. However, they were designed together so people who want to get a more holistic picture about how to best develop a salesperson often use them both.
Okay, so let's just go back to what we're here for today, which is the Sales 18 report. So let's take a look at it for people.
Sure.
So here are one of the competences, correct?
Yeah, this is just one page of the report. Is to look at the prospecting competency and where the person is in terms of their hardwired behavioral style. Obviously, this happens not only in sales, but in almost every profession. We want people who are perfect. We want the Superman, Superwoman to be there, the superhero who are able to do everything. And what we look at in this example with prospecting, we break that prospecting competence into very specific behaviors. Ideally, of course, we would like to have somebody who's all the way to the right. Always look at the color and look colorblind.
Oh yeah, it's a pink.
Pink. Okay, that would be the ideal scenario, that every salesperson would be strong with all of these behaviors and make the overall competency. It will never happen. So the pink color is the ideal. The rectangular squares are actually where the person is right now.
Yeah, and I think one of the strengths that people have brought up is these are, they're self-standalone pages. You can look at it. It clearly gives you a definition of what prospecting is. It clearly states out, the competences that relate to that particular sales competence. And I just think it's so powerful because it's easy to read. So let's kind of just narrow it down and give some examples.
Sure.
So here's one. I just highlighted a couple, so I'll just throw them. It's like a quiz for Marku. So the one I highlighted here is cold calling to book sales appointments.
Well, here we have a person. Ideally, you want somebody who gets that +5 score, and this person actually gets that +5 score. So they match. They are very, very comfortable in that behavior. It's just like with the DISC theory-based assessment, the other ones we have where we look at the DISC styles. Only concern may be here that the person is so comfortable with this behavior
Mm,
that they begin to overuse it, or they begin to focus on that behavior more than some other necessary behaviors. What we tend to do as human beings is that what's comfortable to us, we tend to do more. That energizes
yeah.
us. It's not uncomfortable. We don't feel like procrastinating. So this person may do a little bit too much of that. But the good news is, if you need a person who can book those sales appointments, this person is going to be very comfortable in terms of their hardwired behaviors. We don't know if they have the skills or the competencies, but they are hardwired for success.
That's a good point to make. And the other example that I selected was for this one where they don't score a 5, and that's keeping the conversation with the customer alive. They're scored a -1.
-1, which means that this kind of behavior would take more energy from this individual. And if they're not very conscious about making decisions how to use that behavior, they can fall short. That's why we have that match percentage of only 35%. Maybe this person is just kind of a fast-paced, direct, and sometimes they're so focused on the end result
Right.
that they're not able to read the situation, especially individuals who are very different from them in terms of their DISC behavioral style.
Right. And so, you can see here you have these match percentages for each of these competences. But what's great is also you have a overall match percentage for the competence itself. And in this case, this is still the prospecting.
It's still in prospecting, and here we have somebody, as we can probably seen in the previous slides, that this person is quite comfortable with almost all of those behaviors that make up the prospecting overall score. So this person gets an overall match percentage of 81%. That's very high score. Anytime you see somebody over 67% score, that would tell me that this person is very comfortable in this area. Only sort of a caveat there might be, I want to make sure they don't over focus on this particular area. Maybe this person is so energized and has so much fun prospecting that they might overdo it.
So again, just to clarify, this is about being hardwired for it. We don't account for like their attitude or their ability. That's not what's being measured here.
Now, here we're simply looking at how much they actually would have to flex their behavioral style. Again, when it's over 67%, they really don't have to modify their behavior that much. And as we often talked about, modifying behavior takes effort, it takes concentration and energy. For this person, it really would not require much. And actually, they probably feel very comfortable doing it.
Okay, so there's a new kind of way to present these match percentages. So I just wanted Marku to talk about it. And so here we have prospecting again in the report, but this is kind of a simplified way of looking at it, right?
Well, what we know about our clients and most people like me, what's the bottom line? You look at those bar graphs, so that's great. But a lot of people tend to just look at what's the overall match percentage. So this is a quite new report.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we simply look at those overall match percentages. This individual is even more comfortable with prospecting, very high score of 90%. But if you use this format, and you can use both in this,
Mm-hmm.
like with all of our DISC assessments, there's no additional cost to generate those different formats as long as they take the questionnaire one time. Some people really want to just kind of see very quickly in a few pages, where is this person's strengths? Where are their challenges? So they know very quickly what they need to do next. If they want to look a bit deeper or break down where the challenge areas are, you can look at the kind of format that we just talked about a minute ago. So
yeah, I like this simple report because it just gives you kind of that overall picture. And then if, as Marku says, you want that deeper dive, you can always go back and run the other Sales 18 full report.
Yeah, and especially what I see is who really want to use this format are the sales managers.
Right,
We have
I
a
totally see that.
sales
Yeah.
team of 10 people. Well, it's nice to have all that detailed information available, but people just often don't have the time to really look at it. And the competency summary format gives that information very quickly. Now, here we can go back to the DISC model. If you think about how preferences we have,
Mm-hmm.
what I find the D&I styles tend to prefer the competency summary format, while S and C style individuals tend to want more information. The nice thing is
You can have both.
you can have both. You don't have to
Yeah.
choose.
And another thing I just thought of too that would be great, and is as a manager or coaching a sales team, I could run this report for a group of them. So I could actually look at the the competence summaries for a group of my salespeople.
Yeah, so then you can very quickly to figure out, where are my overall challenges. Then you can look at the individual assessments and begin to identify that a little bit more clearly.
Exactly. So, just to summarize, what would you say about if I'm, a sales coach and I'm starting to use the Sales 18 report? What are some things that I need to think about?
I would say that the same philosophy as with all of our assessments applies, that there's no one right way of doing this thing. Now use the assessments. What we want to do is provide different formats so the users can really identify and select the format and the approach that works best for them. Because situations are different, people are different, there's no one best way. But kind of generally speaking, this is how I see our clients use the Sales 18. One is they really want to very quickly understand where are those areas that they want to develop, or have a really good idea what the strengths are so you can utilize those strengths. So it becomes a wonderful coaching tool about, hey, where do we start? Where do I'm going to get the greatest return on my effort to try to coach or develop this particular salesperson? So if you're a manager, sales manager, or sales coach, you don't have to try to figure this out. You got the information in front of you, and it's there. It's based on their hardwired disc behavioral style.
Yeah, I really like it because it's simple not only for the coach to understand, but for the sales professional as well. But you still do need that coach there, but it saves that time. Right now, you have the information. Now you can take those actionable steps. Like, how do we actually improve? How do we develop this person?
Absolutely, and especially when you combine it with the sales competency assessment, because that looks at the very same 18 areas for sales success. And it breaks down the competencies, not only the specific scores like 90% or very easy to identify numerical scores, but it further breaks down those competencies in what we call sales mindsets. And the mindsets really helps us to identify what are some of those self-defeating beliefs that all of us have. So then you can be very, very specific about, what do I need to do to help this sales professional to improve? And finally, my favorite is the sales excuse index. Sales, I've said this many times before, it's a tough job.
Yeah.
And you get rejected, you have to do the behaviors day in and day out to be successful in that area. So we tend to sometimes procrastinate, and sometimes we may not be aware of it, that we're spending too much of our time and effort on looking at reports, filling out stuff, and Facebooking, and all these kind of things that is really more fun and takes less energy. So that excuse index gives us a very specific number, how likely salesperson is to make excuses and not focusing on activities that will create sales results.
That's great. So hopefully what we did today was just give you a kind of an overall intro. What's so exciting is we have a lot of things coming out constantly, even, and in regards to sales as well. So just kind of be on the lookout. We'll have new webinars. We'll have new announcements coming up.
Yeah, with the sales competence assessment, we are going to roll some new things here very quickly. I don't want to ever commit to a date because we're dealing with programmers, but it's going to happen this first quarter, where we can have some webinars about some of the new exciting things that you can do with the sales competency assessment.
That's awesome. So we do have 2 webinars coming up. I apologize I didn't say so at the beginning. This is recorded, so in case you missed any of it or you want to kind of refresh yourself on it, it'll be on our website. If you have any questions or you're interested in the Sales 18 or the Sales Competence Assessment, just feel free to reach out to us, info@extendeddisc.org. We do have 2 webinars coming up next week. One is on what is DIS&C. Same day. We also have our mini webinar, same time, 3:00 Central Time, basic profile types. And to find out more about that, you can go to our extendeddisc.org page and look under the events tab.
Yeah, go to the events tab and you will be able to see the upcoming webinars and other events. We have some trade shows coming up. Hopefully you're able to stop by and say hello. And about the webinars, even if the date and time does not work for you, register, because we will email you the link so you can look at that at your convenience and perhaps share with other people you think may benefit from the webinar content.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.